Proverbs 3:5-6 says, "Trust in the Lord with all of your heart and do not lean on your own understanding. In all of your ways acknowledge him and he will direct your paths or make your paths straight." So today we are working on bracing. So bracing is so important when it comes to lifting weight. Just as trusting in the Lord with all your heart is so important for your Christian walk. So these two I like to put together because you can't follow God without trusting in him, and you can't lift weights without bracing your core. So if you haven't been bracing your core, you will see a big improvement in your lifts when you start doing this. So bracing your core goes beyond what we did the other day. So the other day I showed you the drawing in maneuver. So when you are doing the drawing in maneuver, you're bringing your belly button in, you're blowing out your air, and you're tightening everything, but you can still talk and you can still do exercises with the drawing in. And also, drawing in is a good way to get you into a better posture. So when I'm standing lazy, I might be like this. When I draw in, it's gonna put me into a better posture. So just drawing my belly in is going to tighten my transverse abdominis and put me into better posture. So now we're going beyond drawing in and we're taking it to bracing. So bracing happens in the middle of a movement. All right, so we're gonna start with squat. When we go from a squat, we're standing, okay? So we're gonna inhale, we're gonna take it down into the squat. At the bottom of the squat, which is the middle of the move, we're gonna brace our core, so we're gonna blow everything out to the point where we're not gonna be able to have conversation anymore. We have braced our core so tight that we're protecting our low back, and now we're coming up from that squat through that tightness of our core. So if you're just doing a squat and you're not bracing, you might be leaning. So we don't want to lean in our squat. We don't want to lean on our own understanding. So you might think you're squatting right, but if you're leaning forward, it's because you're not bracing your core. So if you go into a regular squat and you're leaning forward like this, and you're coming through your squat like that, you're not using your core muscles at all and you're not doing a squat. So what you need to do in order to keep your body upright, you need to brace your core. So what you're going to do is we want to keep a straight line from the top of your head to your tailbone here. We don't want to lean into our squat. We want to hinge back. We want to come down, and what is going to keep us up here in our squat is bracing our core. We have to have a tight core. We have to be able to brace. And then what's going to bring us up from our squat is blowing out that air, pushing through your core and your glutes and your heels to bring you up from your squat. So it might not be that important when you're just doing body squats and when you're doing low weighted squats. So I'm gonna grab a dumbbell and I'll show you a drop squat. So with the drop squat, now we're adding some weight to this squat. In order to pick this weight up, we want to brace our core. So at the bottom of the squat, we wanna blow out that air and come through the squat by using your core. And I'm gonna show you it from the side. So we've gone down into our squat. We're here. Brace that core and bring yourself up with your squat, from your squat. Same thing, we're gonna progress from our drop squat into a goblet squat. Now, a goblet squat almost forces you to brace because now you're going to squeeze that weight really tight as you go down. And when you squeeze that weight, it might cause you to automatically brace. So we're going down, brace, and come back up. But you want to keep that weight hugged into your body. So we go down, brace, and come back up. So then you would progress into a suitcase squat here. So now You're having to have more and more control of your core as you progress from one squat to the other. So now this is going to be a more difficult squat, doing suitcase squat. So you're really going to have to get that core working. So we're going to brace your core and come on up. And I'll show you from the side. So hinging back, we're into our squat, brace, and come up. Lower and up. Lower and up. All right, and then our next level would be to have our weights racked. Okay, so I don't know that I can, let me see if I can rack these. Okay, there we go. So now with your weights racked, you really have to have control of that core. So we're gonna take it down, brace that core, and bring it back up. Show you from the side. I'm gonna brace it. We're gonna exhale, brace, and bring it up. All right, so that's there. And once you have gotten that control down, then you might be able to take it to the barbell. But you have to master all those different levels first. You have to be using your core, because you don't want to take it to the barbell and not brace and stabilize your core, or stabilize your back with your core when you get over to the barbell, because you don't want to blow your back out. So when you're in here, we're gonna come through, make sure you're lined up, make sure your hands are lined up. You're gonna brace your core just to get the bar off the rack. So we're gonna exhale, use that to come up. We're gonna bring it out. We're gonna inhale and then lower down, brace, and use that core to come up. Inhale, lower down, and brace, and come on up. All right, so that, and then when you come and put it back on the bar, you're gonna do the same thing. You're gonna put it on the bar, take it down, blow out, and come on out. Now the other thing you need to really master your bracing for is deadlift. You cannot properly deadlift without bracing your core. So when you are going into a deadlift, you need to push those hips back. When you get to the middle of the move, again, the bottom of the move is when you're going to blow out all the air. And that is where you're going to have your core braced. You shouldn't be able to talk. All that power is going to lift your weight up like that. And then you can relax, lower down, get into your hinge. Now we're going to brace and up. So you can practice doing that with no weight at all. Then you can start adding weight just like we progressed the squat. So just like we progressed the squat, you can do like a kettlebell deadlift, but this one is a hinge, it's not a squat. When you get to here, you're going to exhale and bring that weight up. And then hinge back, exhale, and bring that weight up. And then you can progress to 2 weights. So that would be here. So we're gonna do stiff leg deadlifts. So we're just gonna keep our legs stiff. We're gonna push our hips back, exhale, and come on up. Push our hips back, exhale, and come up. Then you also can do a suitcase deadlift. If you're able to get lower to the floor, we're gonna bend our knees to get there. So first we're gonna start with our hinge. Hinge back as far as we can. And then if you were to go to the floor with them, you would have to bend your knees and come down. exhale, and come back up. Inhale, come to here, exhale, and come back up. So there's that. And then if you're ready to progress to a barbell, I always recommend starting with an easy curl bar, because with an easy curl bar, you can put heavier weights, heavier plates on them if you don't have bumper weights. If you have bumper plates, it's not an issue. But if you don't, you can use an easy curl bar. Then you can use these heavier plates and get it higher off the floor. So that way, you're able to not have to go down so low. So then you can get into your hinge. So we're gonna start with our feet. I think I need to go. I'm gonna just pick it up and bring it over here a little bit more. So hopefully you can see me better now. Okay, so we're gonna have our feet very close to the bar. Our shins almost touching the bar. We're gonna inhale. We're gonna soften your knees, push back. You can even line yourself up in a Superman like this. Now you want to be feeling it in your hamstrings and your glutes when you're here. When you bring your hands down, you want to now have your hips back. This is where you really need to brace your core. At the bottom of this deadlift, you have to exhale and lift. And then relax, take it back down. Exhale and lift. And then take it back down. And then if you wanted to readjust in between, you can do that too. So you're just always making sure that you have your core braced. Exhale and bring it up. And back. All right, so those are the two main lifts that you need to be bracing your core on. So you can brace your core on many movements, even on a bench press, or even if you're doing a step up to balance, when you're coming up from that step up, if you brace your core, it'll give you better balance and it'll help you work your glutes rather than your hip flexors. So don't forget to brace your core so you don't blow out your back. And what else? Always draw in your core no matter what you're doing. Always make your movements come from your core. So that way your back will always be protected. But if you're squatting, if you're deadlifting, if you're in a bent over row, that's another one. If you're in a bent over row, you should brace there too and make sure that your back is very much supported as you have that brace. But it wouldn't be as much of a bracing as it would be to come up from that squat or deadlift. All right, so hopefully I've helped you to understand the difference between drawing in and bracing, and now you know when to draw in and when to brace. So I will see you tomorrow. Well, maybe not tomorrow. I don't know if I'm doing these videos every single day. We're doing 100 of them, but they don't need to be 100 all in a row, because sometimes I just don't have time to film. So they will be every other day is more reasonable for me. So I will see you maybe the day after tomorrow for another exercise tip and a scripture for you to master. So I'll see you soon. Thanks for joining me. Bye-bye.